cookie plates. Our first step for the cookie plate is to use a regular plain plate and some paint sticks to add decoration. When you are using the paint sticks, please be sure that you are being very careful with them. When you take the lid off, make sure it is standing upright like a little cup on the table so it doesn't roll off. When you are winding up the paint stick, please use the bottom part very carefully. If you wind too high, like this, it could break or fall off and you'll waste the paint. So keep it a little bit lower, just like this, especially when you are putting the lid back on so it does not get smushed. We are going to decorate the plate however you like. Today I am going to put a snowflake on mine. This is how I'm going to make a snowflake, but you do not have to make a snowflake. I finished decorating my plate and it looks something like this. I decorated the front and the back. If you don't get to the back, it's not a big deal. I really want you to focus on the front of this. Now, because the paper plates are a little bit bumpy on the edges, they have some texture. When you are using that flat paint stick, it might be a little bit tricky to get the edges and you are going to have some trouble filling in those white grooves in between. You can always take your paint stick like this and put it on its side to fill in those spots, or you can keep them white or even use marker. It's up to you. This is our finished plate, so now we are going to move on to step 2. For step 2 of this project, we are going to use Model Magic, and we are going to roll this out and use cookie cutters or sculpting tools to create little cookies to go on our plate. So here is a Christmas-themed plate that I created with some Model Magic cookies. You have a gingerbread man, a little chocolate chip cookie, a Christmas tree, and a candy cane cookie on my plate right here. When we are using the Model Magic, we are going to talk about how to make this little amount go a long way. So please pay attention. You only get one package of this Model Magic. Here are the supplies you are going to get to create our little cookies. In your sculpting kit, you have some rolling pins, some sculpting tools, and some little wooden sculpting tools as well that you can use to create eyes or just little details. There are cookie cutters and your Model Magic. When you are going to start creating, you obviously need to open your Model Magic first. This can be very tricky, but I want you to try your best. You can either open it like this, like you're pulling out a chip bag, but the best way is to grab a pair of scissors from your bottom drawer in between the two friends at your table. There are scissors in a pencil box. You're going to take the scissors out, just cut right along the top like you would a piece of paper, and then your Model Magic is inside. You can kind of rip the rest of the way down, and you have your Model Magic ready to go. It's going to feel kind of like a marshmallow. So you really want to warm it up in your hand oven so that it's really easy to use and work with. I would start by rolling it into a ball as best as you can. It will be a little tricky at first, but once it's nice and warm, you should be fine. Once you have the ball, open up your little sculpting kit, and the rolling pin is going to help you roll it out. If you don't want to use the rolling pin, you do not have to. You can very easily just smush it down with your hands and kind of flip it like a pancake. So it's totally up to you. I like using the rolling pin. You don't want it to be super duper thin, so that looks maybe like a little bit thicker than a quarter. And we're going to kind of keep going. Roll it out, roll it out. You're going to get about maybe 3 cookies, maybe 4 small cookies. I'm going to start with my gingerbread man because he's one of my biggest cookies. We're going to go like this, scooch him out, and then we have our gingerbread man. Super easy. You want to use this plastic side of the cookie cutter. This side is not going to cut all the way through. This side will. I'm then going to take the scraps, warm them up again, roll them in between my hands, create a ball, take my cookie cutter, or not my cookie cutter, my rolling pin, roll it out again. I still have a lot of Model Magic. I'm going to keep rolling. Then I'm going to do my candy cane. Again, we're taking that plastic side and roll it out. There we go. And there's my candy cane. You might have to pull some of those pieces, and there we go. Magic. So I still have a lot here. I'm going to rip this in half, and I'm actually just going to make a circle by pressing it down. I don't even need a cookie cutter. I'm just going to press that down, and that's going to be my chocolate chip cookie. So here we have our cookies. I'm now going to bring my plate in, and I'm going to see where I want my cookies to go on my plate. We don't need glue, we don't need tape, we don't need anything because the Model Magic is already a little bit sticky. So you are going to find where you want your cookies to go on your plate. If you have a design in the center, try to find a way to put them maybe around the design so you can still see it. Then you are just going to press down on your cookie into the plate so that it's going to stick and stay. Make sure you press that down really well. I'm going to put my candy cane right here. It might flatten out your cookie just a little bit, and that's totally fine. Don't worry about it. I'm going to flatten out my little chocolate chip cookie, and then I have my Christmas tree. So you're going to find the best place for those cookies, and you can see I really like that way. I put them, and I can still see the snowflake through it. Now, if you are like me and you had a little bit of extra Model Magic, you can use this to add details to your cookies. Or you can make another few cookies to go on your plate. It's up to you. So maybe I'll take this and I'll create one more tiny little cookie to go on the plate. So I just kind of flattened out a cookie again with my fingers. I didn't even use a cookie cutter. And now I have one more little cookie that I can turn into something. Maybe it's a sprinkle cookie or even just a snickerdoodle cookie. You have the choice to add details with the Model Magic, or you can wait until we start painting and decorating the cookies to add some more details. It's up to you with that. I'm going to start just using some of this extra Model Magic I have and create some buttons for my gingerbread man. To create little circles, I'm just rolling them around, warming them up in my fingers, and they're very easy to make, and then I'll stick them right down in there. There he has some 3 little buttons. I'm going to give him some eyes, just doing the same thing, 2 little circles. And then I'm going to make a little mouth for him. So I'm going to make a little snake. I'm going to roll them between my fingers like this, and you can see you can do that, and you have a little snake. And that's going to be the smile for my gingerbread man. And I'm going to give him a little smile right there. And I can even do that same thing, creating little snakes to create some icing on the side of his arms and legs, just for some more details. Before the Model Magic dries, this is going to be your time to add any sculpting detail that you might want to add. So I'm actually going to take this little tool right here, and I'm going to create some lines in my candy cane. And I'm just going to kind of go around and press some lines in there. You can't see them super well, but it's going to help me when I decorate and when I start painting, because I can paint in those sections, and I'll be able to see them a lot easier, and my brush will go really nicely in between those little cut sections. I can even take this guy and add some little dots in there, and maybe it's a mini chocolate chip cookie, and the chocolate chips are inside of the cookie instead of on top of the cookie. Now keep in mind, when you are making cookies, there are tons of cookie cutters that you can use. Circles, hearts, gingerbread man, candy canes, stockings, snowmen, stars, triangles, different shapes that you can use, and these are great for cutting out the Model Magic. But if you are making something that might not be a cookie cutter already, I have created a little guide for you. So say you want to create a reindeer cookie, I have a little step-by-step tutorial that you can follow to create the cookie. It shows you what you need and how to put them together and how you can add some details. For the details at the bottom, you can either add those with the extra Model Magic that you have, or you can wait until we paint them to add the details with the paint. We are now moving on to step 3, which is adding decoration and detail to your cookies with some paint. I'm going to talk about the special paint we are going to use and how to carefully use the paintbrush and supplies. For these cookies on this plate, most of them are actually flat, and I just added detail with the paint. When you are ready to paint, these are the supplies you are going to get. You have a container of paints that have a lid on top. You have some tiny little paintbrushes, paper towels, and a water container with a lid on top. When we start to paint, we gotta take the lid right off the paint so we can use what's inside. We also can actually take the lid off of the water, but if you would rather keep it on, that's up to you. I am going to just show you quickly how we need to use this paint. It's different than watercolor paint. This paint, as you can see, it's already shiny because it's already wet. It's already liquidy. You don't have to add water to this paint. But you do need to clean your brush off in between colors. So let's say I'm going to use this blue color, some teal. I'm going to dip my brush into it. You don't need a lot. This is perfect. I'm just going to show you on the paper towel what it'll look like when you paint down. So you can see you don't need a lot. There's a lot on there, and it's plenty to use for your cookie. You want to be super, super careful when you paint. When it's time to go into another color, make sure you clean it in your water first. If you have the lid off, it's super easy. Just dunk your brush into it. If you have the lid on, what's super cool is your brush actually fits right in there. You want to swirl it around really well, touch the bottom of that so the paint comes off. Then you want to kind of swipe it off of the lid there, and you can do a little tap to get the rest of it off. Be sure then to wipe that extra off on that paper towel. See how there was still a little bit of paint on there? You want to make sure it's all gone, and that your brush is dry before you go into your next color. Then you can start all over again with the next color that you want to use, just like that. When you are painting the cookies on your plate, you want to be very careful, especially since they are already stuck down to your plate. You want to make sure that you're getting the paint on the cookie. If you get it a little bit on the plate, just like I did, it's totally fine. The best thing is that if a cookie is warm, and let's say we're putting icing on it with the paint, that icing is actually going to melt right off the cookie. So you can pretend that your icing melted off the cookie and got a little bit on the plate, or you can pretend that it's a crumb, because we all know cookies crumble, so it's really not a big deal. I am going to go in and I'm going to paint my gingerbread man. I am going to be careful. I'm going to try to be as careful as possible. I'm going to go around all those little details I added. I again want my brush to be dry, so you might have to wipe it off on your paper towel just a little bit between your colors and between the same color as well if you need to. And I'm just going to go through and paint. When you're all done painting, you will have a cute little plate full of delicious looking cookies that you made all by yourself. I can't wait to see what you make.